Hi, this chapter's 2.6. We're proving that angles are congruent. Oops. And we're covering all these topics. Vertical angles theorem, congruent supplements, congruent complements, and that all right angles are congruent. And if two angles are congruent and supplementary, then they have to be right angles. All right, let's do the first one, vertical angles. What's shown in red here, this angle has to be congruent to this angle. And likewise, this one in blue, this one has to be congruent to that one. These angles are across from each other. The two lines crisscross, then these opposite angles have to be congruent. Okay. Then I made a little video to show that, so you can see that we're moving one point around, and as it moves, you can see that those vertical angles are congruent. Okay, we're done with that. Okay, so now if we throw some numbers in here. So if this red angle here is 158 degrees, then that would mean that this angle over here is 158 degrees. Now, these are a linear pair, so these two have to add up to 180 degrees, so therefore this is 22 degrees. And as vertical angles, then this angle has to be 22 degrees. So there's our numbers there. Okay. Well, now we're going to do the problem with some algebra. So, let's see. BCD. BCD is 140 degrees. Okay. Which means this angle is 140. And this is 40. Okay. And this is 40. And then the big question is BCE is this expression. BCE. So that means 40 is equal to 3x plus 1. So now we're ready to do the math. Subtract the 1 from each side. Divide by 3. So x is 13. Okay. Let's see, next rule. We've got congruent supplements theorem. That means that if this angle is supplementary to this angle and this angle in red, then those two red angles have to be congruent. So let's just make up a number. Let's just say that this is, 150 degrees. Well, that means that this angle has to be 30 because they have to, supplementary, so they have to add up to 180. So, well, if this angle is supplementary to that one over here, and that's 150, subtract that from 180, well, then that's got to be 30 as well, which then allows you to say that these two angles are congruent. Okay. I think I made a video here, yes, that shows that if you drag that point around, yes, those two angles that are supplements, those two red angles that are supplement to the blue angle, you can see that they have to be congruent. Okay. We have some algebra here. Well, these two things have to add up to 180. So these two angles have to add up to 180. So I combine like terms. We'll subtract the 6 from both sides. What is this, 58, I think? So, hang on a second. Oops. Yep, so that's 58. And then the question is what's the measure of this angle? Well, you could either plug this value in for x and work it out, or just simply, if this is 58 degrees, subtract that from 180, and you wind up with 122 degrees. Okay. Okay, so if this angle in blue is complementary to this red angle and this red angle, then those two red angles have to be congruent. Okay, I think I got a video to show this again. Yeah, there it goes. So, see, I'm dragging that point around, and so those two red angles as shown there as the value of x, they're congruent. Okay. Let's see. Let's just put a number in here. Let's see. So if this is 40, well then this and this have to add up to 90, for complements. So therefore, that's 50 degrees. And if this angle is complementary to that one, well then that's 50 degrees as well. And all right angles are congruent. That's sort of a duh. They're all 90s. Nice handwriting. Okay. And then the next theorem 2.5 is that if two angles are congruent and supplementary, so if these two angles are congruent and they add up to 180, so I showed that these two angles are adding up to 180 and you solve for that value, well then they're all 90s. So if I showed these two as a linear pair, and then I drew this extra image over on the right to deal with what if they're not a linear pair. Two angles that are congruent and supplementary, that they add up to 180, meets the same description. They have to be 90. And thank you for watching this.